This again is an enterprise that will create at least 500 direct jobs and several more indirect jobs here.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo reiterates government's commitment to ensuring ease of doing business in Nigeria as cement and fertilizer plants open in Edo State.
We have to do a government-side meeting on their offer before we then have a conciliation meeting.
Federal government ASUU meeting rescheduled as Academic Staff Union of Universities takes new position. Financial experts X-ray Nigeria's development index as the country's consumer price index drops.
Some tour operators were unable to get a normal scheduled flights for their passengers.
Airlift of pilgrims concluded from Abuja as the 2017 Hajj rites commence on Wednesday. Good evening and welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Muhammad Kuda Abubakar. Reading with me tonight is Ademola Adeoye in Lagos. And in Port Harcourt is Dibabari Siedoma in Waike. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the Buhari administration is committed to ensuring efficiency and transparency aimed at reducing the risk of doing business in the country. He stated this at the inauguration of the Edo State Fertilizer and Chemical Plant in Auchi and the Boa Cement Factory in Okbala. David Ire reports.
The 60,000 metric tons fertilizer plant, initiated 14 years ago and later abandoned, is now opened in line with the federal government's fertilizer initiative. Vice President said the project is unique as it will enhance agricultural development and food security of the country. He hailed the industrialization policy of the state government and assured the people of government's deliberate policies to boost food production.
This again is an enterprise that will create at least 500 direct jobs and several more indirect jobs here in Abuja. It will bring us closer to self-sufficiency in fertilizer production and perhaps most importantly boost food production and reduce food prices, ultimately enhancing food security in Nigeria. To the extent that it makes imports unnecessary, this plan will also help us to conserve our hard-earned foreign exchange. And to crown it all, I'm happy to learn of the plan for the gradual extension of this project so as to steadily boost its output.
Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki reaffirmed his determination to key into the agricultural policies of the federal government and sued for public support for President Buhari's administration. The fertilizer plant is to be managed by WACO Limited under the federal government's public-private partnership initiative. At the Boa Cement Factory, Okbala, Vice President said the 3 million metric tons plant is a clear commitment of government's public-private partnership, which has created brighter opportunities for job creation and industrial development. In Auchi, Edo State, David Ire, NTA News.
Guests on Good Morning Nigeria have called for the profiling of sectors to harness those with competitive economic advantage to ensure the sustenance of the backward integration and import substitution policy. While declaring proliferation of ideas, the guests also advocated for the harmonization and implementation of policies to boost the Nigeria's economy. Leader Samson has details.
This is not the first time Nigeria is embarking on backward integration and import substitution as part of efforts to revamp the nation's economy. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria, however, say as good as the initiative is, environmental challenges like cost of energy and other logistic problems, as well as policy somersaults, are inimical to the sustenance of the policy.
Let's work with these plans, but bear in mind that circumstances have changed to the point where we must keep in view trade defense mechanisms, safeguard measures, infant industry protection measures.
We need to deploy the combination of all the policies that I mentioned earlier: monetary policy, trade policy, tax policy, investment policy.
The guests stressed the need for review of procurement and tax policies, as well as ensure strict implementation of backward integration and import substitution policy.
The world is moving from a position where a lot of people are going to factories to produce for a lot of people, we're now getting to a position where few people using technology are providing goods and services for so many people.
What is happening to economic management team? Where are the platforms or public-private dialogue?
The guest also called for the deployment of more technology in providing services and industrial revolution in agriculture and solid mineral sectors, which can go a long way in creating employment. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Synergy between fiscal and monetary policies appear to be impacting positively on Nigeria's economic recovery and growth. This is evident as the nation's inflation rate, otherwise known as the Consumer Price Index, dropped for the 6th consecutive month. Correspondent Leah Katumba Batuni reports on the latest National Bureau of Statistics statement on inflation in Nigeria.
This year is okay. Things are just okay, but people don't have money to spend. That's the problem.
Let the government to try more. We can see now for ground, government people are trying now. Let them try more and do well for us.
Inflation report for July 2017 reveals that headline inflation has again reduced to 16.05% year-on-year in July 2017 compared to 16.1% in June 2016. This makes it the 6th consecutive decline in the rate of headline year-on-year inflation since January 2017. On a month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.21% in July 2017, 0.37 percentage points lower from the rate of 1.58% recorded in June. Food price pressure, however, continued into July with 20.28% year-on-year from 19.1%. This represents the highest year-on-year increase in food inflation since the beginning of the new series in 2009. On a month-on-month basis, the food sub-index increased by 1.52% in July, down by 0.47% from 1.99% recorded in June. Selected food price watch data for July 2017 reflected that the average price of 1 dozen of agri eggs medium size increased year-on-year by 33.09% and increased month-on-month by 3.14%, while the average price of 1 kilogram of tomato increased year-on-year by 15.65% and month-on-month by 5.1%. Similarly, the average price of 1 kilogram of yam tuber increased year-on-year by 41%.
Joining me now from Lagos studio is our financial analyst, Tilewa Adebajo. Welcome to NTA Network News.
Very much. Good evening.
For the 6th consecutive month, Nigeria's inflation rate drops. What do you make of this?
Thank you very much. I think this is very welcome news that we now have momentum on the downward trajectory for inflation. Going back to the end of 2015, early 2016, inflation was just 9.5%. And within that space of time, inflation peaked at about 18.7%. This was as a result of the removal of the fuel subsidies. And as from your report has stated, we have high levels of food inflation, which has remained stubborn. We're expecting that with the harvest this year, we should be able to see a downward trajectory on food inflation. But overall, we have some positive news on that downward trajectory. But having said that, we're looking for inflation to be at about 9 to 10% for us to begin to see the significant increases. And in expanding further, we need to look more closely at the interplay between inflation, interest rates, and GDP growth to be able to see some sort of vision or where the problem really lies.
To what extent will you say or attribute the synergy between monetary and fiscal authorities being contributory factors to this development?
Thank you very much. Inflation has always been a problem. The sort of inflation we're experiencing in Nigeria today is what you call cost push inflation, which is as a result of prices such as fuel prices. The classic inflation, which we are all used to, which is demand pull inflation, too much money chasing too few goods, is not really the case today. And so it's important that the monetary authorities and the fiscal authorities work hand in hand to be able to make sure that they address this issue. Before I came on the program, I did a 10-year analysis of the interplay between inflation, interest rates, and GDP growth. Now, 10 years ago, in 2007, the GDP for Nigeria was 8% growth GDP. At that point in time, inflation was only 4%, and interest rates were about 9%. By 2011, GDP growth had peaked at the highest so far at 8.5%, and inflation was only at 11%, while we had interest rates at 7%. Unfortunately, by 2017, GDP was minus 2.5%, inflation peaked at 18.7%, and interest rates were about 15%, and of course going to about 22%. But as we've seen, things are beginning to improve. So it is clear that there is a high correlation between lower levels of inflation and lower interest rates and high level of GDP growth. What we're experiencing now is the opposite, which is interest rates are high, inflation is high, and of course we have negative GDP growth. So it's important that the monetary and fiscal policies work hand in hand to realign the economy. And what is important is that they need to target inflation. If you can tame the inflation monster, I think without any doubt we would achieve the results that we need to grow the economy to the levels we've seen in the past.
Tilewa Adebajo, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
I've been talking with Tilewa Adebajo, a financial analyst in Lagos. Moving on now, federal government pushes development of mines and steel industry with a 5 billion naira artisanal and small-scale miners financing support fund. Vivian Idekbefo has details on business news.
We're glad to have you join us on this segment. The Artisanal and Small-Scale Financing Support Fund, which is for the purpose of projects contained in the roadmap, has a pilot contribution of 2.5 billion naira each from the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development and the Bank of Industry.
We trust that this will also encourage more players in the financial sector to pay closer attention to the mining sector and increase their lending exposure and participation.
We feel that this will be faster than people expect because there's a need for it.
This is one of the ways you can increase the non-oil export revenues.
With less than 3 days to the Salah celebration, Nigerians say the price of commodities have remained stable in comparison to last year's celebration.
If you talk of the price of rice compared to this year to last year, this year's one is a bit cheaper.
And now to the stock market. The equities market continued its negative sentiment Tuesday with a 0.23% loss. Next is a summary of closing figures on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And that concludes business news at this time. Over now to the rest of the bulletin.
Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has assured that the Apex Bank will partner with critical stakeholders in the creative industry. This was the outcome of a collaborative meeting between the Minister of Information, the Central Bank Governor, and some critical stakeholders in the creative industry. Anthony Forson now reports.
Growing the creative industry to become viable and a stimulant for a sustainable economic growth has remained in the top agenda of the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. To demonstrate this determination, a number of fora have been organized to make the point. Of major attraction is the International Summit on how to source funding for the industry. And today, a visit to the Central Bank Governor. It is to drive home the point that the sector is indeed Nigeria's low-hanging fruit waiting to be plucked. The CBN Governor, who wasted no time after listening to the group's presentation on what the industry holds for the country, could not hold back as he made the point that the sector deserves all that is needed to develop.
We have a responsibility to give you the support. Our development finance department can work with you, but I think what comes really to the fore is the bankability of your project. And we must work together with the Ministry of Information and Culture, first of all, to assure a bank that your revenue can be captured. And that is where we must take very, very seriously to protect you, the piracy and copyright law.
Leading members of the creative industry to the central bank governor is the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who told the CBN governor that his concern over piracy threat has been taken care of.
By nominating 3 high-ranking members of the police force, 2 DIGs and an ACP, as members of this anti-piracy committee. The committee has met, and during the meetings, for the first time in history, Alaba market, which up to now was thought to be impregnable, was raided twice within a few days. And the impact of that raid, I think, has sent shivers to pirates. Furthermore, the industry itself has realized that we cannot leave this fight for government alone. So we are quite alive to this responsibility.
The minister also expressed gratitude to the central bank governor on his prompt acceptance to support the industry. The creative industry contributes 1.4% to Nigeria's GDP. In 2016 alone, box office raked in about 3 billion naira, a figure that is expected to increase this year. In Abuja, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
The ongoing restructuring of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, received fresh impetus on Tuesday with the appointment and deployment of top executives across the value chain of the corporation's operation.
A statement by Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, NNPC, Ndu Ugamadu, states that Roland Ewubare is now Group General Manager, National Petroleum Investment Management Services, NAPIMS, while Dipriye Taya takes over as Managing Director, Integrated Data Services. Malami Shehu is now Managing Director, Port Harcourt Refinery, as Adewale Ladenegon assumes duty as Managing Director, Kaduna Refinery. Mohammed Abba now heads Warri Refinery as Managing Director. Nigerian Products Marketing Company, NPMC, now has Umar Ajia as Managing Director, while Bala Wunti takes charge as Group General Manager, Corporate Planning and Strategy, CPNS. Others are Usman Yusuf, Group General Manager, STA to the GMD. Adeyemi Adetunji confirmed as Managing Director, NNPC Retail. Dr. Bola Afolabi now functions as Group General Manager, Research and Development Division. Mrs. Ahmadu Katagum has been appointed Group General Manager, Shipping in the Downstream Autonomous Business Unit, while Kalamu Abdullahi takes over as Group General Manager, Renewable Energy Division in the Downstream ABU. Dr. Shaibu Musa is Managing Director, NNPC Medical Services, while Ibrahim Birma is new Group General Manager, Governance, Risk and Compliance Division. Group Managing Director, NNPC, Dr. Meikanti Baru said the new appointments will help to position the corporation for challenges ahead. A total of 55 top management staff were affected in the exercise.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android devices at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Ahead on the news, we have a situation report on the negotiations between ASUU and the federal government. Don't go away.
From 1967 to 1970, Nigeria went through a horrifying civil war. It didn't matter who was wrong or right. Everybody suffered. Those who fought that war say it should never happen again.
So a lot of people will say, but you were leading the first one. Yes, I led the first one. I don't think a second one is necessary. We should have learned from that first one. Otherwise, the dead would have been to no avail. Could all have been in vain.
The words of our elders are full of wisdom.
This is a public service announcement
Brought to you by NTA.
Wait, Madam Celebrant, just hold on and give the address to the driver. I beg, hold on.
Hello? Madam, straight not finish show.
Oh, the party goes soon start, so... Chrissy, help me go and buy the recharge card. Oh yeah, everybody, let's go, let's go, let's go! Okay. Hello, Madam Celebrant.
With Glow Sharp e-top up, you get 8 times the value of your recharge. Plus, you continue to enjoy all the airtime and data benefits on your plan.
Where the credit now? Now sharp e-top up. I do enter your phone straight. Blood of Zachariah. Well, you don't know say e-top up, no, they give all the plan benefits like bonus airtime and data. Now, e-top up, they give you all the better plan benefits, plus more. Christy. Don't worry, I will put small thing on top of your money later. I be the wonder when that you feel square me the money sharp like e-top up. Very good. You like money.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Nigeria is a strong emerging world economy with a population of over 170 million people. With the diligent work of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, in line with the federal government's economic diversification agenda, SON has put in place accredited laboratories to ensure that made in Nigeria products meet international standards and ready for export. SON regularly conducts products registration, certifications, factory inspections, monitoring, a metrology laboratory to get accurate measurements, while SONCAP checks the conformity of imported products and the SON Legal Act to prosecute offenders. Don't sell and don't buy substandard products. Before you buy, look well. See something, say something, or call these numbers. SON, improving life through standards.
Availability, check. Confidentiality, check. Integrity, check. Transformation in action. The 6 years of Governor Abdul Aziz Abubakar Yari in Zamfara State clearly manifest good governance and foresight. In fact, transforming the agrarian state to the promised land. Welcome to Zamfara, a state being governed by a visionary and dynamic leader whose magic finger is touching every aspect of human lives. No wonder Abdul Aziz Yari is being referred as agent of Buhari's change mantra. Yari is bringing development closer to the Zamfara people and the nation at large. Zamfara, the pride of the nation. This message is brought to you by Iowa Media Group.
Discover the liquid freshness of Center Fresh chewing gum that you feel. And others too. Center Fresh. Try.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant. To achieve our creed as we promise, we shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris. Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility. This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Bayes University Abuja offers world-class education, uninterrupted academic session, and promising degrees. Bayes University Abuja is affordable and delivers quality with experienced international staff, superb facilities, overseas external examiners, and a serene academic atmosphere. We offer quality and affordable education, and students are within easy reach of their parents here at Bayes University Abuja. So learn to live at Bayes University for a brighter future. For more information, visit our website at www.bayesuniversity.edu.ng or call 081 3376 9657 or 081 3376 9658. Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. The meeting between the federal government representatives and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, scheduled to hold this Tuesday, has been postponed. This is to enable the federal government study and take a position on the proposal submitted by the union. Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, while briefing the media, says ASUU's letter on their new position was received after Tuesday's meeting was scheduled. He observed that it may have been the reason why ASUU members did not show up.
We have to do a government side meeting on their offer before we then have a conciliation meeting to further discuss if there are further areas of disagreement. Tomorrow is Federal Executive Council, and we will also need council approval for some of the things we are doing, what the government has decided. Thereafter, we'll then meet with ASUU.
And while correspondent Emmanuel Ayimiro, in a telephone interview with the ASUU president, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, says ASUU is waiting for government response to their new proposal, which is the only way open for the members of the union to know what next. The federal government has approved the adoption of new measures by its Ministry of Justice that will ensure the effectiveness of the rule of law in the country and greater access to justice by the populace. One of such measures is the creation of a coordinating center for all federal government criminal justice agencies. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, SAN, announced this at a briefing on the activities of the ministry. Femi Okewo reports.
While the debate still rages on as to what form of restructuring Nigeria will embark upon, the Ministry of Justice, the arm of government that ensures rule of law in the country, has already embarked on its own form of restructuring, which the minister says will ensure that Nigerians have good access to justice.
By way of institutional reforms in the years ahead, we hope to engage into restructuring of the institution of the Federal Ministry of Justice for better performance.
Minister of Justice, at a meeting with directors and top management of the ministry, told the media that the Federal Executive Council had already approved, as part of the restructuring, the establishment of a federal investigation unit which will help enhance the nation's investigatory capacity, leading up to greater level of prosecution of crimes. In line with this, some major prosecutions of terrorism crimes would also commence very soon.
The Federal Ministry of Justice must be consistent in maintaining its mandate of making justice accessible to all, consistent with the ideals of democracy and rule of law.
He announced that in the last 2 years, the activities of the Civil Litigation and Public Law Department of the ministry have saved the federal government over 119 billion naira and $14 million, which would have gone to various payments of damages. The Minister of Justice is of the hope that compliance and full implementation of the institutional and policy reforms will reposition the nation's justice sector for better justice delivery. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Honorable Oseloka Obaze has emerged the standard bearer of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the November 18th Anambra governorship race. A former diplomat and secretary to the Anambra state government garnered 672 votes to beat his closest rival, Dr. Alex Obiagbolu, who polled 190 votes. Benson Osadebe tells us some more.
The exercise, which started with accreditation of 958 delegates, was described as peaceful, free, fair, and credible. A total of 958 votes were cast, with only 2 votes declared invalid. Oseloko Obaze, Efan Oba, and Alex Obiobolu contested for the tickets, while Senator Stella Odwa, John Emeka, and Ufobike Akolisa withdrew from the race. The returning officer, Governor Dave Umahi of Ebonyi State, while declaring Obaze winner, charged party faithful to work in synergy to deliver PDP in the November 18th election.
I, Mr. David Umahi, Governor of Ebonyi State, and the Chief Returning Officer for this primary, hereby declare Obaze Oseleka Henry, who having scored lawful votes of 672, the winner of this PDP primary, and is hereby known as the candidate of the party.
Honorable Obaze commended the delegates and party faithful, promising to take the party to the government house, Oka.
To Anambra, I promise in humility to remain focused on the campaign to turn Anambra around and deliver good governance to our people, because Anambra State deserves better.
With this development, the PDP has demonstrated its preparedness for the battle ahead in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in Anambra State. From Professor Dora Akunyili Women Development Center, Oka, Benson, Osadebe, NTA News.
Similarly, Dr. Paul Obianonso has emerged the standard bearer of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, for the forthcoming Anambra State governorship election. Dr. Paul, who emerged through a voice vote, was the consensus candidate of the party. Benson Osadebe again now reports.
The election, which was adjudged peaceful by the delegates, national chairman of the party, say ADC will bring phenomenal change in the political landscape of Anambra State if voted into power. He noted that the state has witnessed 18 years of uninterrupted democracy without much developmental strides to show for it.
If we are going to have change in Anambra State, this is the real thing.
One of the chieftains of the party, Chief Anaya Arinze, reiterated the party's commitment to win the November 18th governorship election.
The Bible tells us, do not neglect the days of the humble beginning.
The party leadership called for a voice vote to authenticate the candidacy of their flag bearer. The winner of the exercise say he is coming to serve.
There will be zero tolerance for corruption under my watch as governor of Anambra State. We will have enough resources to give free education at all levels.
ADC is one of the opposition parties in the Anambra State governorship race. In Oka, Benson, Osadebe, NTA News.
Airlift of pilgrims for the 2017 Hajj ended at 5 o'clock Tuesday morning, with the last flight conveying 267 persons from the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Usman Ali reports that the last batch of pilgrims are those facilitated by private licensed tour guide operators.
This is the last flight comprising pilgrims of private tour operators. As soon as they land in Saudi Arabia, they will commence the Hajj rite. Pilgrims like the 79-year-old Afis Shokwe believed it is a worthwhile mission to perform his religious obligation at this time of his life.
I'm very happy indeed to be one of those going to Hajj this year. And my thanks goes to my children who is sponsoring the journey.
Like him, the pilgrims are highly fulfilled that their dreams turn to reality. If not for the special consideration by Saudi authorities and intervention brokered by Nigeria's Hajj Commission, these pilgrims and their private licensed tour operators could not make it for this year's Hajj.
Some tour operators were unable to get a normal scheduled flights for their passengers. And as part of our regulatory function, we have to intervene to make sure that all those pilgrims that registered with them are airlifted.
Figures we have on ground is 267, and all the 267 passengers are boarded. I am the last one out that is going to board.
This time, no pilgrim in Nigeria who made conditions, obligations, and responsibilities is left out. In Abuja, Usman Aliu, NTA News.
Still on the airlift, the 2017 Hajj rites will officially commence on Wednesday, 30th August, which corresponds with the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah of the Islamic calendar. NTA News crew is fully on ground in Mecca to cover this year's Hajj. We now link up with Musbao Danwahab for the situation report from the Holy Land.
Thank you for joining us. We're now in Mikat on route Makkah. Mikat, by the way, means our designated location between your place and Makkah. It now depends on where you spent your previous days. For those who spent their previous days leading to Hajj, their Mikat is located at Abiyan Ali, just about 450 kilometers away from Makkah. So what you need to do when you get here is take a bath and put on your white garments to signal your intention and readiness for Hajj or Umrah. And this is the first of rites of Hajj and Umrah. So all of those who are already in Mecca have done this right, and it's a must for other people to join. And I have with me someone who is ready to tell us, to give us more insight about Iran. So, sir, what is the significance of Iran in Hajj and Umrah rites?
The injunctions are given by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anybody who attends this pilgrimage must carry out those functions to make the pilgrimage complete.
Is it all about white garments?
It's not all about white garments. It's a sign of purification and your willingness and readiness to actually perform the pilgrimage according to the injunction of our Prophet.
Thank you very much. And that's it. It's just for purification and to declare your intention. So that is it. Makkah is just about 450 kilometers away from here. So the next time you see me will be in Makkah, inshallah.
Thank you, Musbao. We have more on business as stakeholders meet in Lagos on the federal government executive order compliance. Demola, over to you.
Thank you, Kudu. Good evening and warm welcome to Lagos. The federal government has reiterated its commitment to revamping the economy through policies and structures aimed at creating viable business platform for the growth of small and large businesses in the country. Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, gave this assurance at a stakeholders forum on the Executive Order 003 to support local content and procurement. Abolade Salami has the details.
Stakeholders Forum brought together government officials, entrepreneurs and other professional bodies to deliberate on the Executive Order 03 aimed at supporting local content in public procurement by all ministries, departments and agencies of government. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar said the executive order will encourage patronage of made-in-Nigerian products with a view to ensuring that all MDAs grant preference in the procurement of made-in-Nigerian products with at least 40% of their procurement expenditure on locally manufactured goods.
We must remain mindful that with this opportunity, our micro, small and medium enterprises must be creative and innovative in accessing government jobs and improve on their customer service as well as service agreements.
Director General Standards Organization of Nigeria, Osita Aboloma, and his counterpart from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Frank Jacob, in their submissions, said the executive order will aid the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
We've tried to develop a particular product that we're exporting outside Nigeria. That's service standard for SMEs, where we give them guidelines to be more competitive.
We started with a few now. We're eventually going to go around the country so that members can then get power at a reasonable price so that can reduce their cost of production and make them more competitive.
Stakeholders at the forum suggested that government should address the issue of registration of documents for small business owner and margin of preference. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has adjourned the 300 million naira fundamental right enforcement suit brought by the kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwamadike, popularly known as Evans, against the Nigerian police force to the 5th of September 2017. Ken Egbeluhe has the details of the court proceedings.
Justice Abdulaziz Anka, who had earlier fixed today for judgment, said he would not go ahead when there are pending applications before him. The judge had adjourned on August 16 this year to deliver a judgment on the fundamental rights of the application filed by Mr. Evans. However, the first and second respondents, the Inspector General of Police and the Nigerian Police Force, were not represented. But the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State and the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, the third and fourth respondents, were represented by lawyers who argued that their colleagues were not served. On Tuesday, David Igbodo, a lawyer, announced appearance for the first and second respondents, saying that they did not receive any court process in Abuja and that he has served counsel to Evans the application to appear in court. In his response, counsel to Evans said he did not receive any application from the police. The judge stood down the matter for both parties to agree on a date, but when both parties could not reach an agreement on the date, Justice Anka later adjourned to September 5th to hear the matter. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
You are still watching NTA Network News. We now take a break for some messages, after which the news continues from Abuja. Stay with us.
Hospital, all night. Emergency.
We are losing her, we are losing her.
Don't worry, I'll save her. Driver!
What is wrong with you?
Building burnt down.
What?
It was life or death.
He said, boy.
I've got the dog. Hey, Mr. Man, wake up. Yeah. My resignation letter, sir.
Warning. With so much Glow data, you may get carried away. These data plans are available to all new customers and existing customers who renew their plans. Dial *777#. The largest data network. Glow, grandmasters of data.
The family of Ogun has been taken hostage by an evil-looking creature.
See, just show for night. Yeah, big.
Come in. My sister, I was there what was happening in the news. We must suddenly brought back your family.
You think you can freeze them? No way!
When Amatem Fort appeared, malaria run for cover. Amatem Fort against some gel capsules, tablets for adults, and suspension for Pekin. Amatem does not eat somebody and are very easy to use. Ayua, remember how Amatem Fort against crash pin to confirm the original and against some gel capsules. Amatem, say no to malaria, yes to life.
Cadbury Bournvita now comes in an attractive new 500-gram refill pack. Simply open and reseal after use to retain the chocolatey and creamy taste. Cadbury Bournvita. Prepare to win.
Thank you for remaining with NTA Network News. Oil thieves in AFCC net as Governor Wike receives World Bank team. Debabari is standing by for details in Port Harcourt.
Good evening, Kudu, and welcome to Port Harcourt. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has appealed to the World Bank and European Union to assist the state government in the automation of the internal revenue and integrate it to the state integrated financial management system to boost the revenue profile. The governor made the appeal when members of the World Bank Implementation Support Team on the World Bank Assisted State Employment and Expenditure for Results paid him a courtesy visit at Government House, Port Harcourt. Ogediekwe completes the report.
The governor sought the assistance of the World Bank to put in place a formidable biometric system for civil servants in the state and support in the provision of laboratory equipment for the two state-owned polytechnics to enhance science education.
How much of the gas school have only two, the Saru and the Port Harcourt polytechnics. We would think that they can give us support in terms of equipping the workshops. I will be very, very grateful.
Leader of the World Bank Implementation Support Team on the World Bank Assisted State Employment and Expenditure for Results, C4, Ismaila Sise, noted that the program is geared towards employment generation for youth as well as strengthen the financial capacity of the states in the region.
The World Bank, at the request of the Federal Ministry of Finance, is preparing a new operation. This is called a Program for Results Operation. It's a $750 million operation.
Similarly, Governor Wike also played host to the Australian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Paul Liman, where they discussed bilateral ties on trade and investment. In Port Harcourt, Oge Dinyekwere, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy says its campaign strategy against oil theft in the Niger Delta region is yielding the desired results. The commander, Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder, made the disclosure at the official handing over of 13 suspects arrested in connection with crude oil theft to the EFCC. Vivian Eziadif reports that the handing over was at the Taraba jetty in Port Harcourt.
Navy Captain Victor Choji, while handing over the suspect, vessels, barges, and 5 wooden boats to EFCC, said the arrest was made possible by a special patrol element of the Nigerian Navy ship Pathfinder at Eagle Island in Port Harcourt.
The vessel, empty prey, and 5 wooden boats, otherwise referred to as Cotonou boats, laden with about 409,399 liters of suspected illegally refined AGO at Eagle Island. The suspect, the vessels, and the Cotonou boats have been in our custody for preliminary investigation.
We, in line with our own duties, will ensure that we get to the bottom of the matter, investigate it properly, and prosecute if a prima facie case is established.
Captain Choji, however, noted that in line with the harmonized standard of operating procedures, sufficient troops and equipment have been deployed to achieve the mandate as prescribed by law. From Taraba Jetty in Port Harcourt, Vivian Ezadifi, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Port Harcourt. Is back to Kudu for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Dibabari. Ogun State government is intensifying efforts towards the timely completion of the Shango Ojodu Alagbule Akute Road before the expiration of the term of Governor Ibikunle Amusu. Correspondent Leka Agbonde has details.
Not less than 49 road projects are simultaneously ongoing across Ogun State, but one that is strategic is the 42-kilometer Sango Ojodu Alagbule Akute Road. On this road, there are 5 flyovers that have reached various stages of completion. The governor, Ibikunle Amusu, is not taking things for granted as he shows this with regular tour of the projects to fast-track construction work.
Yes, so we will come to demolish all these places to the bridge, both sides. So I want you to cooperate with them. We are waiting for the rain to subside. The rain have now subsided.
We may suffer the pains today, but definitely at the end of the day, we will all have reason to appreciate the governor for this wonderful job he's doing.
The governor reiterated the determination of government to ensure the completion of all the ongoing projects across the state. Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
United States Congress delegation visits Operation Lafia Dole base in Maiduguri. Naomi has details from our Maiduguri Network Center.
Kudu and welcome to Maiduguri. United States of America has assured to support and partner Nigeria in ending Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast region. Senator Christopher Coons, who led the U.S. delegation to the headquarters of Theater Command Operation Lafia Dole, gave the assurance in Maiduguri. Maimuna Garba reports.
Worried by the Boko Haram security challenge in northeast Nigeria, the United States of America congregational delegation led by Senator Christopher Coons visited the headquarters of Theater Command Operation Lafia Dole. The visit was to further collaborate, assess and know areas of need for assistance so that the United States of America can support Nigeria to end terrorism, especially the Boko Haram crisis in no distant time. The U.S. support will no doubt enhance the effectiveness of the counter-insurgency war in the northeast region.
We have discussed areas of cooperation, areas of assistance, and the United States government in no distant time will provide all our needs to be able to carry out effective counter-insurgency operation in the entire Northeast, thereby bringing a decisive blow on Boko Haram insurgency.
During the visit, the U.S. delegation was briefed by the theater commander, Operation Lafia Dole. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Rotary International Polio Plus Committee has been commended for its timely intervention in various health programs across Borno State. The State Deputy Governor, Usman Mandurkwa, gave the commendation when he accompanied the chairman, Rotary International Polio Plus Committee, Michael McGovern, for the commissioning of a solar-powered borehole drilled by Rotary International in Muna Camp, Maiduguri. Here is the report.
Borno State Deputy Governor Usman Mamad Durko said Rotary International Polio Plus Committee deserves commendation for its humanitarian services not only to Borno State but to the country in general, and assured the team of government's continuous support and cooperation to achieve its goals and objectives, especially in eradicating wild polio virus in the state. Usman Mamman Durkwa described the drilling of borehole by Rotary International at IDP's camp as a step in the right direction. The chairman, Rotary International, Michael McGovern, said their organization is doing everything humanly possible to bring to an end the resurgence of wild polio virus in the state. McGovern had, while commending Borno State government for its efforts in polio eradication programs through its various health institutions across the state, also approved $450 million for the total eradication of polio in the country. McGovern also inspected health facilities at the World Health Organization National Polio Laboratory of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and interacted with polio survivors.
And that's our contribution from Maiduguri. Is back to Abuja for Network News.
Thank you, Naomi. We have a beat on sports and Wednesday's weather forecast after these messages. Stay with us.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Government's initiative on poverty alleviation. What are the opportunities and how do they work? Find out on this week's edition of Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live promises to be exciting, informative, and educating. Join us.
The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is working to ensure access to safe, good quality essential medicines with the World Health Organization pre-qualification of made in Nigeria pharmaceutical products, stiffer penalties for fake drug offenders with a review of NAFDAC laws, national, regional, and international collaborations, cutting-edge technologies, including the mobile authentication service.
NAFDAC as an agency is indeed doing so much to protect the health of our nation. I urge everyone to support NAFDAC in ridding the country of fake drugs and unwholesome products.
Let us support NAFDAC to win the war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
In sports, Super Eagles players arrive Uyo camp as the Nigeria Football Federation drum of support ahead of the Eagles' clash with Cameroon on Friday. Dende Sonny has these and other developments on Sport Updates.
Super Eagles captain John Obi Mikel led some of the players that arrived Uyo Monday
ahead of the 2018 World Cup qualifiers against Cameroon on Friday as they commenced training on Tuesday. Meanwhile,